I want to have a look at the moment about what is response rate. So what do I mean by responses and respondents and non-respondents? Why is it important? And what is response rate? And so on. So I've got a little diagram here for you, which we start off by having our sample of data of these are all the people that I actually, when I go out and stand in front of the cafeteria and ask people, could you do the survey for me? Could you answer some questions for me? These are all the people that I'm going to ask. Then within this group, so within the people I actually go ahead and ask, I've got my respondents. So these are the people who have said to me, yes, I will answer your questions, and they have been able to give me some data that I can then use. Then further, I have a group of non-respondents. So these are people that I asked, could you do my survey for me? And they've said, no, sorry, I don't have the time, not interested. So these are our people that we want to know about. And what we want to know is we want to know about response rate. So I might start off with, say I have 100 people that I ask, could you do the survey for me? Take a few moments to answer some questions for me. And from those 100 students that I asked about the cafeteria food, I might find that I had 40 of those that said to me, sure, yeah, I'll answer you some questions, and answered some questions. And then equally, I had 60 odd students that said, no, sorry, not interested, don't want to know, don't have the time. So this means that for this particular survey, my response rate is 40 out of 100. Now I want to turn that into a percentage typically. So if I multiply that by 100 to turn it into a percentage, that means 40% of all the people I asked, could you do my survey for me? 40% of them said, yes, sure, I'll give you some information. So in this case, 40%, is that a good amount? Is that a not so good amount? Well, it means that I've got information from about 40% of the people that I could collect information from, the people that I'm interested in, my target population. But in actual fact, it also means that there are 60% of people that I don't have any information about. And it could be that my non-respondents think differently than my respondents. So it might be that my non-respondents are those people that, are happy with the cafeteria food but just can't be bothered telling me about it. And whereas my respondents are those that are either really happy with the food or really unhappy with the food. So they're the people that feel strongly, okay? So it might be that this group of people feel very strongly about the issue and therefore are prepared to take the time to tell me about it. Whereas the non-respondents, they're the people that they just ho-hum. I don't mind one way or the other, and you know what? Oh, it's fine. It's good. I just can't be bothered wasting my time telling you about it. So we've got to understand that the respondents and non-respondents could think quite differently or have different data about the issue that I'm interested in. The other thing that it is related to this is thinking about how I go about collecting the data. And here's a little graph I've got from the internet, which shows an example of some of the response rate depending on the media that I go and collect the data from. And what we might notice is that when I look at the highest response rate versus the lowest response rate, because if I had the choice, I want the best response rate that I can get. The more information I have about the more people, the better I can use that information to make some good decisions. And so in this particular one, we can see, for example, telephone phone calls has given a response rate between 9 to 10% as a rough guide. So it means I get 10% of people that I phone will answer my questions. 90% of people that I phone either won't be home or are not willing to answer my questions. If I send something out in the mail, so I send a letter through the mail, this is only giving an average response rate of about 3-4%. So that's a lot lower. So that's telling me, I know I got some information about 4% of the people I'm interested in, but 96% of the people I have no information at all about. If I go down to ringing on the mobile phone, the response rate has dropped down to 0.2. If I use other social media or internet things, so internet displays, media, email, my response rate drops down to point something of a percentage. So these are very, very low response rates, okay, very low response rates. And so that means there's a lot of people that I would like information about that I have no information whatsoever about. And I've only got information about a very, very small percentage of the population I want to know. So one of the things that we can often do is, for example, think about somebody coming up to you and asking you, could you please go and put the dishes away? It's much harder to say no to somebody face to face than if they just sent you a text message saying, can you put the dishes away? It's a little bit easier to ignore that text message and not do anything about. It's much harder when you're face to face to actually refuse. And so in terms of the response rate, the more direct connection that you make with the people, the better your response rate. So email, social media tends to be quite impersonal, and so we get a much lower response rate. When we get up to telephone phone calls or face-to-face contact, we tend to get much better response rates because it's that personal contact has an effect.